Okay, we'll call the special meeting of the Acton School Committee to order at this time, April 2nd, 2013. And the purpose of our meeting tonight is to take care of some issues that were in error in last week's warrant that we voted on. So our intent tonight is to nullify the warrant that we did last week in its entirety, go through this warrant with the new corrected and adjusted figures and vote on it. So can I?
Could you say that again, please? I'm
The-
the note taker.
Oh, our purpose is to, in light of things that we found that were wrong with last week's warrant.
Got that, yeah.
Yeah, our purpose is to nullify our vote completely of last week and to go through the warrant articles as they've been corrected to have it ready for the warrant and finance committee.
Is that a motion?
Somebody make a motion for that?
So moved.
Richard?
Yep.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we nullify our vote from last week and begin anew with this updated warrant. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, I'm going to ask actually Carleen to, she's got her sheet up here to show us what the changes are, what the adjustments have been made, and then we'll be specific as we get into it where the changes come within the warrant itself.
The biggest change you'll see is in the secondary tuition line, the 1,200 on the left side. There was reduction of 10 students after we did the April 1st enrollment report. We realized that we had less students than we had anticipated even a few weeks ago. So we were able to make an adjustment in the tuition line. So it saved us $91,000.
91,000?
$91,826 was reduced from line 1,200 secondary tuition. So that's one change in the warrant. By doing that, it causes changes in some other articles, particularly in 14 and 15, correct, Carleen?
Correct. Changes Article 14 to read 1,336,920 and 1,255,599. So if you look at those two numbers, 13A and 13B as Paul calls them, they're 1,336,920 and 1,255,599.
And then if you will also look at Article number 18, the format of Article number 18 has been changed to reflect the recommendation that we received last year from Drummond and Woodson and also from R.H. Smith, the accountant, that what should show up in Article 18, the only revenue that should actually show up in that particular article is the school nutrition revenues. On the summary account, or summary of accounts on the first page, you'll see what the other anticipated revenues are. They're all listed there, and they'll also all be listed in the budget book. Primarily, if you'll look at anticipated revenues move forward, where our biggest snafu came last week was that under FY13, instead of saying $100,000, which is what we moved forward last year, that was left blank. And by doing that, when we move forward $120,000 this year, instead of showing a difference of $20,000, which it should show, it showed a difference of $120,000 because the 100 hadn't been put in there. So that was really the biggest issue that we had to deal with this week. And 100,000 is kind of a big issue,
It was
so.
100,000? I'm just asking. for the-
It was 100,000 for FY13, and it's 120,000 for FY14. But last week on
I
the
got it.
sheet that we had, it was 0. So that's that's where the error came in, and that's what we're fixing tonight. And in doing so, we're actually coming out better than we were before, so not a bad thing. Any questions about any of the changes?
Well, what other articles does this affect? You said
This
Article 2?
affects Article 2. Article 7, we changed because we were going with the Warrant and Finance Committee's recommendation, is that correct? From last week? So we changed our recommendation to that.
But wouldn't Article 3, is that different too?
No.
No,
Article 3 is 0.
Article 4
Well,
is zero.
Article 4 is
that was when they, perhaps that might change go. But
Oh,
Article 3, we didn't know what was gonna happen with the other special ed.
We're going to keep it the way it
We're
is.
We
gonna
have,
leave it the
yeah,
way it
we
is.
don't have all that.
We don't really have the
We've got all that
information.
information
Oh,
here.
To me, Article 15 was also changed, which is our base budget.
Article what, 15?
15, yes.
Right, to show the gross budget amount, correct?
So to be clear, Article 2, 7, 14, 15, and 18 are different.
And, yeah. Correct. Okay, so since we've approved all these other articles, we'll just quickly go through them so that we can give our approval to the entire warrant. And we'll waive the reading on the long and lengthy ones and just take a look at the amounts of each one as they have changed from last week. We made that pretty clear, I
But
think,
you are
last
going
week.
through all the articles.
Yes. Okay, any questions?
no.
Okay, Article number 2, let's begin and go through and approve these articles. Article number 2, to see what sum they will authorize school committee to expend for regular instruction. School committee recommends $2,497,968.
Make a motion to accept the school committee's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Moved by Richard, seconded by Jeanette. All those in favor? Article 3, to see what sum the town will authorize the school committee to expend for special education. School committee recommends $1,056,036.
Make a motion to accept the Article 3 as written.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? No? So moved. Article 4, to see what sum the town will authorize the school committee to expend for career and technical education. School committee recommends 0.
I'll second that. We recommend 0.
I'll second it.
Committee recommends 0.
Okay, Jeanette and Kevin. All those in favor? Article 5, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for other instruction. School committee recommends $44,451.
I'll make a motion to accept the school committee's recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved by Richard, seconded by Kevin. All those in favor? So moved. Article 6, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to spend for student and staff support. School committee recommends $368,717.
Make a motion that we accept Article 6 as written.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept it as written with the school committee's recommendation. Any discussion? All in favor? So moved. Article 7, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for system administration. School committee recommends $219,997.
I'll make a motion to accept the school committee's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Moved by Richard, seconded by Jeanette. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Article 8, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for school administration. School committee recommends $170,905.
Recommend the article as written.
I'll second it.
Jeanette and Richard. Any further discussion? All those in favor? So moved. Article 9, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for student transportation. School committee recommends $256,640.
I recommend the article as written.
I'll second it.
Jeanette and Richard. All those in favor of this article? So moved. Article 10, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for facilities maintenance. School committee recommends $441,878.
Recommend the article as written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Article 11, to see what sum the town of Acton excuse me, will authorize the school committee to expend for debt, service, and other commitments. School committee recommends $0.
I recommend the article as written.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we recommend $0 for Article 11. All those in favor? So moved. Article 12, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for all other expenditures, including nutrition. School committee recommends $135,481.
I recommend the article as written.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the school committee's recommendation. Any further discussion? All in favor? So moved. Okay, on Article 13, this is the article for raising funds that has to do with essential programs and services. This is figured on a formula that, from what we get from the state, someone want to recommend that we suspend?
Waive the reading.
Waive the reading, okay.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, we waive the reading of the entire article. All those in favor? Okay. The school committee recommends for Article 13, $3,317,909. $3,317,909.
Make recommendation to accept the school committee's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Richard, seconded by Jeanette. All those in favor? So moved. Okay, Article 14 is one of the articles that has been changed since last week. And this has to do with additional local funds that are put together with the article that we just did up above. And the spreadsheet is up here if you want to see how that works.
Can everybody see it? Can you see a duck?
The two figures on Article 14, to see what they will raise and appropriate in additional local funds, that figure is now $1,336,920. And the amount that it exceeds the essential programs, is the next figure, which is $1,255,599.
I recommend the article as written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? So moved, and those are the same figures that you'll see down below. Just shows how it's divided up, written down below.
Judy,
Yes.
this is just a technicality,
Yep.
and I understand the meaning of what you've been doing, but Article 2, I'm sorry, through 12, you didn't there wasn't any money recommended to those articles. Because the recommendation was, to approve the article, and the article doesn't contain a dollar amount. Your only dollar amount is the amount that the school committee recommends.
Right, but I read the dollar amount for each article.
And I appreciate
Yeah.
that, but the motion was to accept the article as written, and there's no dollar amount in the article. I don't want to be a pain in the neck.
Okay,
And
so-
I understand what you did.
Okay,
your
so
meaning,
let's-
But somebody might,
Let's go with, when you make your motions, to accept the school committee's recommendation. Okay, and that will cover it. All right?
Can I have the wording in there again, please? What you just said.
To accept the school committee's recommendation on Articles 2 through 12.
2 through 12.
Somebody want to make that a motion to just clean that up a little bit?
All right, I make a motion that we recommend the school committee's recommendations for Articles 2 through 12.
I'll second it.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor? So moved.
no, you won't have to deal with it on town floor.
Works for me. Okay, Article 15 is the summary of the entire school budget. You'll find it on where Carleen here is showing you with her little squiggles on the board. This represents the gross budget figure. And the figure as adjusted since last week. Now for Article 15, the school committee is recommending an amount of $5,192,073.
I make a motion to accept the school committee's recommendation of $5,192,073.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the school committee's recommendation. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Article 16 is authorizing the school committee to expend such other sums as may be received from state or federal grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, provided that such grants, programs, and other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. School committee recommends adoption of the article.
I make a motion that we accept the school committee's recommendation of adoption of the article.
Seconded.
Moved by Richard, seconded by Kevin, that we adopt Article 16. All those in favor? Article 17, to see if the town will appropriate the receipt of certain federal and state grants and carry any previous balances for the following special revenue accounts: Title 1A, Title 2A, Local Entitlement, and Preschool. School committee recommends adoption of the article.
I make a motion that we adopt the article that the school committee recommends. That's Article 17.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt Article 17. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Article 18. Article 18, for those of you who might have come in a little later, Article 18 has been adjusted to fit the format that is recommended by Drummond and Woodson for this article and also by the auditors. To see if the town of Acton will vote to appropriate the following revenues, balances carrying forward, fund transfers to cover expenditures appropriated in previous articles, remaining funding required to be raised by taxation. School nutrition revenue, $65,000 for a total of $65,000 for Article 18.
I recommend that
It's
we,
different wording.
Yeah, I had different wording.
well,
That's the problematic phraseology.
Use the one that you have, that I just gave you.
Oh, the one you gave me earlier today, or the one you gave me later today? Article 18 reads like this: to see if the town of Acton will vote to appropriate the following revenues, balances carried, and fund transfers to fund the food service budget in addition to amounts raised by taxation for food services in the school operating budget. School nutrition revenues, $65,000 for a total of $65,000.
That's what my paper says.
That's what mine says now.
That's what mine says.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I recommend that we pass this article. That's the school committee recommend adoption of the article, $65,000.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we adopt Article 18 as written and as we recommend. Any further discussion?
I just want to say what changed there was we took out, there was school undesignated fund balances or something. So,
There are other revenues that come in, but we sent this, Jennifer especially wants to be sure that we have these articles written down correctly, and we sent these last year to Drummond and Woodson to look over, and also to the auditor. And Drummond and Woodson and the auditor both said this was the only thing that should appear in this particular article. We still do have other revenues, as you can see on your cover sheet on the summary of accounts. We still have revenue coming in. We have $120,000 coming in that the school committee has voted to move forward from undesignated funds for to offset taxes. We still have our state aid GPA of $337,244. We still have an estimated, guesstimated, however you want to call it, amount of $15,000 anticipated from Medicaid. So our total anticipated revenues for this year are $537,244.
You still need a vote on Article 18.
We did vote on Article 18, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
What was?
Oh, no, maybe we didn't.
We did now, we're still in discussion.
Oh, we're still in
Okay.
discussion, okay.
And Mary's
We're still
discussed it. You- And the
Yeah.
schools, you all make statements?
It's good to
Okay.
clarify that, because I'm sure, I don't know why Drummond and Woodson and the auditor say this is the way it's supposed to be worded, but if this is the
If
correct
the-
way for it to be worded,
2 years ago, and the year before that, when this article contained the other money like it did last week with 120,000, what would happen is that number was being used twice within the document.
Right.
So that's why we had to change that to just 65. Because as you mentioned, all these other anticipated revenues are already in the other articles. So by listing them again, then those numbers were being used twice. So that's why we had to change that article last year, because the accountant was catching it up at town hall every year when we did our taxes, because that extra money was being put in there. So that's what they did last year, to straighten it out.
okay. Any further discussion on Article 18? Or on the revenues? No? All those in favor of the article as written? So moved. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Paul.
I had this explained to me earlier today, as part of correcting all of this stuff, and I'm afraid it just didn't sink in, and this is probably a good time to mention it since we still have a meeting in session here. It has to do with the nutrition funds. They are part of the total anticipated revenues, and they are part of Article 18. So why are they an exception to the rule where we do not want to have money appearing twice? Because they are part of the net in Articles 13 and 14.
But there isn't any other place in here that nutrition shows up, correct?
Nutrition is a
True.
nutrition is a separate funding stream, and it has to be regarded as separate.
So it is treated separately from those other
Correct,
items up
and
there.
it's audited separately.
Not being the accountant, I'll accept that as a valid answer. Thank you.
Usually it's enterprise fund.
Which is probably why the auditors wanted it that way as well. Any other questions? Comments? Okay. Hearing none? This is what we came to do tonight, so I'll look for a motion for the school committee to adjourn. The school committee didn't realize that the warrant and finance committee was going to meet this evening, so we have scheduled an executive session following our budget meeting, so we're going to excuse ourselves for a little bit to do our executive session, and then we will come back and see if we can answer any questions.
Can you
What
do
do
the
think?
motion for the executive session now?
I could do that.
I'll make a
Somebody
motion
could.
that we go into the executive session.
So Richard's made the motion?
For the purpose of negotiations.
Yeah,
I'll second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we go into the executive session now at 6:28.
Question?
Yeah,
If we're needed during the Warren and Finances meeting now, if there's any questions, so I can just come and...
We're coming back.
you're gonna.
Okay, but I know that they
You're
have
gonna
a
meet
question.
right after this, correct?
I suggest, well, I'm not quite sure what's kosher and what's not. I mean, we certainly could conceivably kind of review what's here, make sure nobody has questions, but on the other hand, that probably should be in front of the camera, because we do have
Stay in
quorum.
front of the camera.
Well, I mean, you can.
Right,
I mean, you
but that's
can,
not necessarily gonna be happening at the time, and I won't necessarily have called a meeting. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Paul, what I had suggested to the group was that we do what we did last week, you switch seats. You stay on camera, we do executive session, because it
Okay.
can't be done
right.
anyway.
Well,
But I
I-
don't think we can go, this meeting was advertised for 7 o'clock. So I really don't think that we better start at 6:30.
Okay, well, we can go.
Well, we'll go, you know,
Well-
if it's at 7 o'clock, we'll be more likely to be back sooner,
All right.
Seems
and
reasonable.
Are
You
you
can
folks voting on,
Yeah.
are you folks voting on the articles tonight?
Good point.
Can't you
Our
go in?
secretary won't be here until 7 anyway, so we're good.
Well,
But yes.
until then, you can kind of discuss things, see if there's things you want to change, and then at formal session at 7 o'clock, you could make those changes and
Well, in terms of the letter of the law, I think we haven't really encountered this before. If we're all together in this group, technically, we're in quorum and it's a meeting regardless of whether I call a meeting.
That's correct.
So any discussion beforehand probably shouldn't happen.
we can
At
talk
least
about the
among
cold weather.
ourselves.
Lovely art displays.
But if
Before
we're-
you people leave,